The House now shall come to order. First, we would like to introduce ourselves. My name is Rosa Szalai, and I'm honored to be serving as your President of the General Assembly at BIMUN 2025.
I am Áron Tallósi, and it is my pleasure to be here as the Deputy President of General Assembly.
Dear participants and honorable guests, it is with great pleasure that we welcome you to the opening ceremony of the 14th annual session of Budapest International Model United Nations. We would like to extend a special welcome to Mr. András Kampós, Headmaster of Eötvös Secondary School, Ms. Valéria Eszes and Mr. Csongor Farkas, Deputy Headmasters of Eötvös Secondary School, and Ms. Tünde Holik and Ms. Andrea Becker, the responsible teachers for the organization of this conference, and thank them for their help in making BIMUN 2025 a possibility. Last but not least, we would like to thank all of the student organizers for giving us the platform to create meaningful dialogue and be able to organize BIMUN once again.
Please keep that in mind that the opening ceremony is being broadcasted online, so we kindly ask everyone to behave respectfully and remain mindful of their conduct throughout the event.
We'll start the opening ceremony with a roll call. If you hear your country's name, please raise your placards high and say present. This shall be done by the ambassadors where possible.
Arab Republic of Egypt. Argentine Republic. Bolivarian Republic of Venezuela. Okay. Canada. Commonwealth of Australia. Democratic People's Republic of Korea. Federal Republic of Germany. Federal Republic of Nigeria. Federative Republic of Brazil. French Republic. Grand Duchy of Luxembourg. Hellenic Republic. Islamic Emirate of Afghanistan. Islamic Republic of Iran. Islamic Republic of Pakistan. Italian Republic. Kingdom of Norway. Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. Kingdom of Spain. Kingdom of Sweden, Kingdom of the Netherlands, Lebanese Republic, Malaysia, Nation of Brunei, Abode of Peace, People's Republic of Bangladesh, People's Republic of China, Plurinational State of Bolivia, and the Portuguese Republic,
Republic of Austria, Republic of Chile, Republic of China, Republic of Cuba, Republic of Ecuador, Republic of El Salvador, Republic of India, Republic of Indonesia, Republic of Korea, Republic of Panama, Republic of Rwanda, Republic of Star, Republic of the Philippines, Republic of Turkey, Russian Federation, Socialist Republic of Vietnam, State of Eritrea, State of Israel, State of Japan, State of Libya, State of Palestine, Swiss Confederation, Syrian Arab Republic, Ukraine, United Arab Emirates, United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland, United Mexican States, United States of America. Thank you. First of all, the Secretary General of our conference, Her Excellency Ms. Tin Kim Chan, is going to deliver her opening speech. Following her, we will be hearing a speech from the organizing school headmaster, Mr. András Kampós.
Honorable President of the General Assembly, chairs, esteemed delegates, dear MEN directors, organizers, guests. It is my honor to warmly welcome you all to the opening ceremony of the 14th annual session of Budapest International Model United Nations. To introduce you to BIMUN, allow me to share a glimpse into my everyday life. Just this Wednesday, I was in history class held by Mr. Csongor Farkas, who is currently seated on one of the balconies, and as the end of my high school studies is approaching, we were summarizing the present-day struggles in international politics. The devastating effects of climate change, unresolved tensions fueling wars and conflicts, demographic shifts, trade wars, and the pressing question of international institutions and their effectiveness. In conclusion, this class did not end on a positive note. But now that I'm standing here, I feel very differently. We learn about things, many things at school, but there is an equal amount of things that we cannot experience in a classroom. The former students of Eötvös Secondary School, who organized the very first BIMUN, established this forum upon this motto: Audiatur et altera pars, listen to the other side. This is something that, though unspoken, has been carried on by our conference ever since, woven into everything we organize for you. So, my advice for you today is to listen. Listen to the delegates in your committee, sharing different perspectives as the leaders of nations in crises, or sometimes the largest economies. Listen to the presenters this afternoon, experts in their fields, who could show you insights into the debate you haven't considered before. Or listen to the music at the official party and make new friends from other schools, other countries, or even other continents. And it's normal to feel challenged, encountering things you haven't seen before, but don't be afraid to embrace the unknown. I encourage you all to try out something new, whether that be filling the Urania silence with a striking ambassador speech, speaking out in front of others for the very first time, or maybe learning foreign slang from your newfound friend as you stare into the Danube's flowing water in the evenings. Right now, from this podium, I see the faces of almost 400 students, nearly twice as many as in the previous years, showing us a great range of diversity, not only in the countries that they represent as delegates, but their personal backgrounds as well. Some of you come from small towns in Western Europe, some of you from capital cities in Africa, yet you're all sitting here together, united. This should be proof that there is a future, despite the struggles of the 21st century that we're all well aware of. I wish you a wonderful time in the next few days, making new friendships, discovering new ideas, and embracing the challenges you might face as a young diplomat, a global citizen, and a member of your community. Let your voice be heard, and take the time to truly listen to others. And so with that, I declare the 14th session of Budapest International Model United Nations officially open. Thank you, and I yield the floor back to the President of the General Assembly.
Thank you, Ms. Secretary General, for this amazing speech. Now we would like to introduce Mr. András Kampos, Headmaster of Eötvös Secondary School. You have the floor.
Dear delegates, distinguished guests, dear colleagues. On behalf of the hosting institution, Eötvös Gymnasium, it is my honor to welcome you at the Budapest International Model United Nations Conference of 2025. This conference is very important to me for two different reasons. First, as a teacher and a headmaster, I truly believe that this is one of the best pedagogical projects I know. Its multidisciplinary approach involves social studies, citizenship, history, politics, economics, in a meaningful and challenging way. It uses English not as a school subject, but as a real tool for real communication. And most importantly, it helps you to build skills that really matter in the 21st century: collaboration, communication, critical thinking, creativity, and global awareness. Second, as a citizen and as a father of three, I also have personal concerns about the future. I read the news about modern slavery, wars, experience the results of climate change, social injustice, and and how private interests too often win over common good. I'm especially worried about the new arms race we are witnessing. These are serious concerns, and I know that most of you share them. But today, I am filled with hope, and from now on, whenever I get gloomy with the state of the world, I will think of you, people from many countries who are smart, dedicated, and ready to work for a better future. I wish you all a meaningful, respectful, and inspiring conference here in Budapest. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Kampos, for this wonderful speech. Now we would like to yield the floor to Ms. Anna Mária Wettstein, Youth Delegate of Hungary to the United Nations.
Dear participants, I'm sorry for my voice. This morning when I woke up, I lost it. And because of this, I remembered why it is so important to voice ourselves and to voice our concerns about the state of the world. I hope that I will be able to deliver this speech to you, and you know that this is actually a testimony of what I'm doing as a youth delegate. This week, I've been doing a roadshow in Hungary, meeting young people from all over the country. My goal is to get to know what they are interested in, what their concerns are, to be able to represent them in United Nations in New York in a few days. I'm traveling to EPCOSOC Youth Forum on Sunday, actually, and I want to share my story with you. I want to share how I was able to get to this point, to be able to represent you Hungarians and also the young people of the world at this very important forum. I believe that this story is actually a testimony to you, that you, as young delegates, as young people, are able to shape the world, to shape the United Nations. Let me start with a quote. Besides, nowadays, almost all capable people are terribly afraid of being ridiculous and are miserable because of it. This was written by Dostoevsky in Brothers Karamazov, one of my favorite books of all time. This made me think, fear of failure, fear of rejection, fear of looking ridiculous. It is one of the greatest barriers between us and the lives that we dream of. I want you to take a moment and ask yourself, what would you do if you were fearless? How would you envision your career, your future, if you had no fear of disappointment? Let me tell you a secret. It is not disappointment or rejection that holds you back. It is the fear of it. A few months ago, I had an experience that made me clearer than ever before. I was in the United Nations headquarters in New York at an informal reception, and I found myself in the same room as the President of the General Assembly, Dennis Francis. He was one of the most influential figures in global diplomacy, representing 193 countries, chairing debates that shape international policies, leading discussions on our future. The room was filled with diplomats, youth delegates from all around the world. There were some of the brightest young minds, leaders, advocates, experts in their fields. I was in a small circle with other youth delegates, and I asked them if they wanted to come up to the President of the General Assembly and talk to him and maybe ask for a common picture. And they hesitated, surprisingly. What if we bother him? What if he doesn't want to talk to us or we interrupt his conversation? So I was met with hesitation. But why? Because of fear. Fear of seeing the wrong thing. Fear of looking foolish in front of a high-level official. Fear of stepping beyond unspoken or maybe spoken rules of protocol. I watched these brilliant young people who had spent days discussing global challenges suddenly become silent. And that is when I realized, if I don't walk up to him now, I am letting my own fear win. So I did. And let me tell you, there is no person in the world right now that I wouldn't dare to approach after that moment. We talked with the President of the General Assembly, about youth participation and about the challenges of getting young people involved in decision making. He shared 2 lessons with me from his own life, something he wished every young person knew. First, even if you're thrown out at first, keep knocking on doors until your requests are heard. Don't turn away at the first rejection. This is what he told me. And it changed the way I see rejection, because the truth is, rejection is not the enemy. The real enemy is walking away before even trying. This is now widely known as rejection therapy, the idea that if you train yourself to expose yourself to rejection, you become stronger and more determined. And this applies to everything, whether it's diplomacy, advocacy, or your personal ambitions. The same goes for the role of young people in shaping the world. Right now, decisions are being made about our lives without us being involved. How will climate change be handled? Will we inherit a livable planet, or will we be left with the consequences of inaction? Will we live in a peaceful world in the next decades, or will the new conflicts continue to shape our reality? Will we create technologies and policies that serve humanity, or will we allow AI and digitalization to dictate the course of our societies without ethical considerations? We, young people, must demand a seat at the table. And yet, too often, young people are excluded from these discussions. We are told that we are too young, too inexperienced, and that the real world is much more complicated than we think. But actually, you, as young delegates here, are already in the best scenario and in the best seat to be involved in decision-making processes. You can use your skills in debating and in advocacy to actually make a real change in the world. You are now practicing, and then you can step into the processes and shape them as young advocates. So here's what I've learned as a UN youth delegate. We are not just the future, we are the present. And we are already making change happen. I have seen it firsthand at the UN General Assembly, at the Economic and Social Council, in discussions on youth, peace, and security. I have seen young people shaping policies, leading negotiations, and creating solutions that the world leaders had overlooked. And every time, the same truth emerges. We belong here. But here is the challenge. You must believe that you belong. It does not matter how many doors are open for young people. If we are too afraid to walk through them, they might as well be closed. And please remember this. And I ask you again, what would you do if you were fearless? If you knew that rejection was not a wall, but a stepping stone? If you understood that the world will take you seriously only when you take yourself seriously? The President of the General Assembly told me a second lesson from his life. It was about gender equality. He turned to the male youth delegates in the room and he said, "Women also deserve a seat at the table where decisions are made that affect their lives. This applies to all decisions. You must treat women as partners, not with disdain, manipulation, or dominance." This message is particularly close to my heart because gender equality is not just a side issue. It is central to peace building, economic development, and human rights. And just like youth participation, it is not something that should be granted to us as a favor. It is a right. So please, this is my main message to you. The model UN is not just a game, because you, young people here, are already in the best position to make a real change in the world. Because you understand how the UN and how the world works. You understand the international order, or you are aiming to understand it, the role of the UN, and the complexity of global challenges. You are already training yourself to be negotiators, diplomats, and change makers. This is a space where you practice standing up for your ideas, where you build the confidence to challenge the status quo, where you learn to listen, negotiate, and find solutions in a world of competing interests. And the voice you find here that I don't have, but you do, don't lose it, don't lose it. Because the world needs you, not just as passive observers, but as active participants in shaping the future. We cannot afford to be silent. So, if you ever feel like your voice is too small, remember, the most dangerous thing is not rejection. The most dangerous thing is silence. Speak up, demand action, and never let short-term thinking decide the fate of your future. Not just in the conference hall, but throughout your careers, in the decisions you make, and in the values you stand for. And if you ever hesitate, if you ever feel like you don't belong, remember what I learned from the President of the General Assembly. Keep knocking, your voice matters, and the world needs to hear it. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Watzstein. Now we will listen to the greeting video of Ms. Sonja Wintersberger, the Deputy Director of the United Nations Information Service in Vienna.
Ladies and gentlemen, dear students, dear delegates, it is my honor to address you as you come together for this year's Budapest International Model United Nations Conference, BIMUN. The United Nations Information Service Vienna has been privileged to cooperate with the BIMUN conference for several years. While I'm sorry for not being with you in person, I want to take a moment to emphasize the importance of what you are doing here. This year marks the 80th anniversary of the United Nations. In 1945, the world was emerging from war, and nations came together with a shared vision to build a system that promotes peace, security, and cooperation. 8 decades later, the challenges we face have evolved, but the fundamental lessons remain the same. The United Nations has never been more needed, our values have never been more relevant, and the needs have never been greater. The wide variety of topics that you have prepared to discuss over the coming days are linked to peace and security, disarmament, global health, and human rights. All of this could not be more attuned to the reality of our times. That is why initiatives like BIMUN are so vital. They give young people like yourselves the space to engage with central issues, to think critically, to debate, and to collaborate. Skills you are developing here, such as negotiation, diplomacy, and finding common ground, are the same ones used at the United Nations. The United Nations is committed to a world where everyone thrives in peace, dignity, and equality on a healthy planet. As delegates, you now have the chance to uphold the principles of multilateral cooperation and examine solutions to the problems of our world. The search for compromise and cooperation is not straightforward. Working together, even when presented with obstacles, is a core element of any Model United Nations conference, and indeed it is a core element of the United Nations itself. Before you hear from United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres, who has a special message for you, I would like to emphasize one of his key ideas. The UN needs young people, not just as future leaders, but as active change makers. Your voice, your ideas, and your determination are essential. So as you step into the roles of diplomats and decision makers over the next few days, embrace the challenge. I encourage you to keep standing up for peace, human rights, and international cooperation within and beyond this conference. I would like to thank the organizers of BIMUN who made this event possible. And lastly, I wish you all a great Model United Nations experience. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Wintersberger. Now we will listen to the other greeting video of His Excellency, Mr. Antonio Guterres, Secretary General of the United Nations.
Nations, and for believing in the power of global cooperation. You are leaders in your schools and communities, and this is a time like no other for all people to raise their voices and engage in our global community. We are living in turbulent times. Our planet is burning, conflicts are raging, and inequalities are deepening. Human rights are under fire. Fast and misinformation are polarizing people and communities, but none of this is inevitable. Time and again, humanity has shown that when we unite to tackle our greatest challenges, change is possible. The United Nations itself is a good example. Since 1945, it has been the place for countries to unite behind global solutions to global problems. We need that same spirit of global solidarity today. And we need your ideas, energy, determination and voice. The member states of the United Nations recently adopted the Pact, the Global Digital Compact and the Declaration on Future Generations. These initiatives are designed to strengthen multilateralism and to actively engage young people in deeper and more meaningful ways. I firmly believe that your voices must count in the way decisions are made, strategies are established, policies are defined, and actions are implemented. And I have no doubt that your model United Nations experience will help develop those skills even more. Let's keep working to build peace, heal divisions, and extend a hand to those in need, especially the most vulnerable. The United Nations is your ally in this important journey. We will never give up fighting for a future of peace, dignity and prosperity for everyone, everywhere. And I'm counting on you to be a force of positive change to help get us there, and I wish you every success. Thank you.
Thank you, His Excellency Antonio Guterres. Now we are going to move on from the speeches to introduce the committee chairs and their rapporteurs. After reading out their topic, please give them a round of applause. First, the President of the Social, Humanitarian and Cultural Committee will consist of Ms. Eszter Szabó and Ms. Yvette Boschko. The rapporteur will be Ms. Dóra Sallai and Ms. Flóra Orovica-Borsch. Their topic of discussion will be combating racial discrimination in criminal justice systems.
The Committee on the Peaceful Uses of Outer Space is presided over by Ms. Dóra Vattamány and Ms. Amelia Wexler, whose work will be held by the rapporteur, Ms. Julianna Pócs. Their topic is regulating private space companies.
The chairpersons of the Commission on the Status of Women are Mr. Ábel Csűrös and Ms. Lili Nyomonyár. The rapporteur will be Mr. Benjamin Line. Their topic will be discussing the responsibilities of online platform providers in regards to online organized violence against women.
The presidency of the Disarmament and International Security Committee consists of Mr. Gabriel de Flamine, Ms. Eszter Remarque-Szabó, and their rapporteur, Mr. Olivier Wolf. They will debate about strengthening and safeguarding maritime security with special emphasis on the South China Sea disputes and affairs.
The United Nations Environmental Programme will be chaired by Ms. Laura Varro and Ms. Nora Kovacevic. The rapporteur will be Ms. Barbara Bárány. They will have their debate on providing a framework to reduce climate change-induced displacement and support affected communities.
The chairpersons of the United Nations Economic and Social Council will be Ms. Masha Timofeeva and Ms. Salva Erimani. They will be helped by Ms. Sára Stoll and Mr. Csanát Tolnai as their rapporteurs. They will debate about ensuring the safety and regulation of government bonds.
The chairs of the Commission on Science and Technology for Development will be Ms. Petra Hargitai and Mr. Kornél Szalai, with the help of Ms. Luca Boros, their rapporteur. They will debate on addressing the global impact of monopolies in technological and medical sectors.
The Commission of Crime Prevention And criminal justice will be led by Miss Cynthia Kozma, Iona Elisa David, and Mr. Luca Darius Bozuloy. They will be assisted by the rapporteur, Ms. Hédi Németh. Their topic is strengthening efforts to combat illegal migrant smuggling and enhance border control.
The Special Political and Decolonization Committee is chaired by Ms. Virág Sipka and Mr. Andrei Doru-Zevalanu. The rapporteur will be Ms. Anna Herceg. They will debate about addressing ethical concerns surrounding international monetary institutions and their potential neocolonial power dynamics.
The presidency of the Intermediate Security Council consists of Mr. Vilmos Ejben and Mr. Levente Fejes. Their work will be assisted by their rapporteur, Ms. Berta Varga. Their topic is de-escalating tensions in the Middle East, with special emphasis on the unfolding conflict in Lebanon.
The World Health Organization is going to be chaired by Ms. Luisa Lukács and Ms. Tomina Ionescu. The rapporteur will be Ms. Eszter Szalai. They will also take part in solving the crisis.
The presidency of the Counter-Terrorism Committee consists of Mr. László Farkas and Mr. Daniel David, and their rapporteur, Ms. Fanny Szabó. They will partake in solving the crisis as well.
The Human Rights Council is going to be chaired by Mr. Jónas Juhász and Ms. Lili Panna Darida. The rapporteur will be Mr. Kristóf Milá. They will also partake in solving the crisis.
The presidents of the Crisis Security Council are Mr. Robin Zieferer and Mr. Barnabás Nagy, and their rapporteur, Ms. Eszter Bányai. They will also partake in solving the crisis. Now we are going to hold a 15-minute break, then we will listen to the speeches of student ambassadors. In the break, the QR code for the BIMUN application will be visible if you haven't downloaded it yet. You have to download it, otherwise it will be very hard for you to navigate during the conference.
Please be back by 10 o'clock. Delegates, please take your seats because we have to follow our rigid schedule. So please. The House shall now come to order. We will continue with the speeches of the P5 ambassadors. Delegates will have the opportunity to ask POIs if the ambassadors are open. If you are recognized for a POI, please wait until the staff bring you the microphone. And regarding any right of replies, please bear in mind that such will be entertained after the speech of the current speaking delegate. And motion for a follow-up will not be ordered due to time constraints. Please also keep in mind that due to time constraints, we might not be able to entertain more than 3 POIs, and we would like to ask all nations to keep their POIs in the form of a question and concise.
Ambassador of the French Republic, please approach the floor and deliver your speech.
Sorry, do you have a printed version of your speech?
No, I just have on...
And please put it on airplane mode because it can disrupt the system, the technical system.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Esteemed Secretariat, Honorable I don't hear the microphone. Okay. Esteemed Secretariat, honorable chairs, fellow delegates, hardworking staff, and distinguished guests.
Please address the President of the General Assembly.
How?
Please address the President of the General Assembly as well.
And how? In what terms? Okay. Dear President of the General Assembly, esteemed Secretariat, honorable chairs, fellow delegates, hardworking staff, and distinguished guests. Today, we face many challenges, we as a whole world, and our delegation, so delegation of France, wants to fight all these challenges, and we ask for your delegation all the support that you can give to our delegation to provide this fight to these challenges. In fact, we have many challenges as regulating private space companies. In fact, we believe that innovation is very important, and we are regulating private space companies by setting safety and environmental rules through our space agency called CEST, which supports innovation and control that is happening in a fair way according to space rules. Moreover, our delegation wanted to focus about the online harassment and gender-based violence. In fact, this is a key theme as technology in our century is so important. That's the main difference between the last century, because we have this enormous possibility of working with technology, but a lot of people just abuse about it and use it to be violent against other people, in particular like transgenders, LGBTs, or women in general. So this is probably the easiest thing to fight, as we are trying to impose new laws about the social medias, or generally speaking like the web, to use proper language in order not to be violent against those kind of people, but to use internet properly, as it could guarantee a brighter future for all of us. In terms, instead of maritime security, we have in particular the focus on the South China Sea. In fact, we try to prevent all the kind of illegal trafficking, or instead illegal fishing, which is a key theme in this period, because it is just damaging our population, people, or just our environment, so the place where we live. In fact, our goal is to guarantee a brighter future to new generations. Moreover, we are focusing even on racial discrimination in criminal justice systems. In fact, our countries acknowledge the need for reforms worldwide. In fact, we are training for new law reinforcement. In fact, we should guarantee with the employ of other people that this guarantee transparency and passes away from all kind of discrimination and any kind of prejudice. In this topic, we have been done a lot of steps over since the last century, because there were more discrimination.
Delegate, please come to your closing remarks.
Okay. Okay. In conclusion, we just wanted to say some other words, just few words about the illegal migrant smuggling, as France, that's the most important part for us of guaranteeing the migrants a right to be here, to live in France, but properly, by employing even some more policies.
Please finish your speech.
At the borders. Okay. Overall, we just invite all of your delegation to collaborate with the France during the tomorrow lobbying session in order to provide some resolutions which can resolve these problems. Thank you.
Thank you for the speech. Is the delegate open to two POIs?
Any and all.
All those delegates wishing to ask POIs, please raise your placard high now. Democratic People's Republic of Korea, followed by the United Arab Emirates. Delegate of the DPRK, you are recognized. Could you turn it on? There's a button.
Is it on now? Okay, all right, thank you. We'd like to thank the delegate for his speech. France does not have any diplomatic relations with the DPRK, despite claiming to support international dialogue. Why does France refuse to engage in peaceful diplomatic exchanges with our country?
Could you ask the delegate to rephrase the question?
Could the delegate rephrase the question?
France refuses to have diplomatic relations with the DPRK. Why is this?
Thank you, delegate, for your question. I don't think we actually refuse those kind of things with DPRK. We are just open to you, to your country, to collaborate with us during the lobbying session to provide some resolutions, because for sure we have so many points in common. For example, in criminal and social injustice.
Okay, thank you, delegate.
Delegate of the UAE.
Is it on? Okay, thank you for the recognition. Thank you for the fine speech, delegate. We would like to ask about how France plans to tackle the economic recession in Europe and in France triggered by the tariffs imposed by President Trump.
Could you ask the delegate to rephrase the question?
Could the delegate rephrase?
Trump has imposed tariffs on Europe and France, and we are curious of how you plan to tackle the economic recession.
Thank you, delegate, for your question. Yeah, our delegation is completely aware of on this fact, and we think that by such a company altogether, because here we personally think that key word is cooperation of all the countries to just resolve these problems, but we're just aware on the fact that there are such economical imposes from the President Trump, but we as the UN, as Europe, should fight this and provide a brighter future.
Thank you.
That will be unfortunately rejected. Thank you for the speech. Does the delegate hear the floor?
The floor is yielded.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. And now we'll move on to the People's Republic of China. Please approach the floor and deliver your opening speech.
Honorable Secretary General, Deputy Secretary General, Presidents of the General Assembly, organizers, chairs, delegates, ladies and gentlemen. Somehow, if we just try to trace back and understand the current dynamics of the world, we always find ourselves on the worn but perfectly functioning building blocks of the Silk Road. And if the question arises, why does it hold such a great significance? To what can we attribute this unique and superior role of China in the world? Here is the answer. If a person just thinks about the porcelain cup gathering dust on their shelf, or the silk tablecloth embroidered by their grandmother, there are small things, but these components and the necessities of life at that time opened up the first trade routes, the network without which humanity would not be able to exist at the level it is today. During the civilization and development process of more than 5,000 years, The Chinese nation has made an indelible contribution to the civilization and advancement of mankind. But now, in the time of both unprecedented challenges and the most opportunities, where every single part of the world stands at crossroads, we feel the responsibility and burden on our backs. China, such a relevant country for thousands of generations, has brought millions of constructive changes to the world, using its strategies and experiences so far to lend a helping hand and build a better future for everyone. China remains steadfast on its commitments to multilateralism, peace, and shared prosperity. We firmly believe that mutual respect, not interference, and cooperation are the cornerstones of a stable and just international order. In an ideal world, every country has the right to make its own decisions, rule its own territory, and manage its foreign affairs independently. We should not let any other powers intervene in conflicts to which they are not connected either territorially or through diplomatic channels. Such forms of aggression are the ones accepted by the Western world. Is this what we call a new and advanced world order, where healthcare, education, and social web are only affordable to upper classes? As one of the largest countries in the world, we do the maximum that ensures the well-being of our residents, thereby setting an example either legally or in terms of environmental awareness, standards of living, and technology. In tackling today's most pressing challenge, climate change, food insecurity, global health, and technological innovation, our nation has demonstrated leadership and responsibility.
Delegate, please come to your closing remarks.
As the world's largest investor in renewable energy, we recognize that sustainable development is not just an option, but an obligation. In closing, we will honor the respected nations with a message from our beloved leader addressed to the whole world. Facts have shown once again that amidst the raging torrents of a global crisis, countries are not riding separately in some small 190 boats, but are rather all in a giant ship on which our shared destiny hinges. Small boats may not survive a storm, but a giant ship is strong enough to brave a storm. Thank you.
Thank you, Delegate, for this great speech. Is Delegate open to any points of information?
Yeah, we are open.
Are there 3 points of information in the House? If so, please raise your placards high now. Oh my God. The United States of America, followed by Norway, followed by Nigeria. United States of America has been recognized for a POI.
We thank the delegate for the speech. Why does the PRC actively refuse to negotiate with the USA regarding tariffs, raising tensions in the world and ruining economies?
Thank you for the fine question, delegates. We all know that the trade war is because of the United States of America. When the Trump administration became the president of the United States, we all knew that this war will change somehow. And one of the changes is this tariff war between not only China and the USA, but also between other countries, which really defines the system of nowadays. We do believe that it's not our fault. It's the fault of the United States, and we would like to create a sustainable future, sustainable economy for each of the people, for all of the people around the world. So we don't really believe that this question was really relevant. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Please don't clap until the speech is over. Norway, you have been recognized for a POI. And we would like to ask the ambassador to keep the microphone a bit more away from, thank you.
In their speech, the People's Republic of China pledged to ensure, or is currently ensuring, the well-being of its citizens. Does that include the Uyghur people who are currently, as the latest reports from the UN, still in concentration camps living under terrible conditions?
Thank you for the question, delegate. In the regards of human rights violations, which the delegate has mentioned, in some areas in China, for example, the Xinjiang province, we oppose this. It's not true. It's spread by the Western propaganda. These informations are not confirmed by the United Nations. We do believe, but these kind of concentration camps that you have previously mentioned is just re-education camp. We do not tolerate terrorists in our territories. We do not terrorists who want to reform our country, who wants to do something in a country which can be a threat and a danger for our residents. So this is the reason why we are using these kind of camps, and this is only for good reasons, to create a peaceful future for everyone in our country. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Please refrain from clapping. Nigeria, you have been recognized for a POI.
Thank you. We'd like to start our question by signaling what we believe is a disgrace, which is in fact no African country has been invited to this opening ceremony to make a speech. You cited in your speech, Delegate of China, multilateralism as an ideal, a goal for the United Nations. Linked to that, many permanent members of the Security Council believe an extension of it is today necessary. Our question is, what's the agenda for this, and will an African country be permitted to have a permanent seat on the Security Council, notably Nigeria?
Thank you for the fine question, Delegate. First of all, we would like to state that the reason why Nigeria couldn't hold an opening speech is not our fault. It's because of several reasons. But of course, I will answer the next question of the delegates. We do believe that everyone has equal rights to represent themselves in different councils of the United Nations. Of course, we do believe that Nigeria is present in most of the councils, and the councils where it is really relevant. And of course, it will be a member of the Security Council if there is some open conflicts in Nigeria, which can be relevant for all of the countries in the world. So we do believe that there is a reason for everything in the United Nations, and we do believe in the order of this. So thank you for the question. That was the answer.
Motion to follow up.
That will be denied. And now we'll ask Delegate to yield the floor back to the presidency, and we'll also like to ask all nations to keep their questions concise and in the form of a question. Thank you.
Thank you. The floor is yielded.
Thank you. Now we would like to ask the Russian Federation to deliver their speech. Delegate, please approach the floor.
Sorry. So, Honorable Secretary General and Presidents of the General Assembly, esteemed chairs, fellow delegates, staff, and guests. The struggle between the global majority in favor of a fairer distribution of global benefits and civilized diversity, and the few who undermine international diplomacy to try to maintain their domination has been going on for decades. However, the 500-year period of Western hegemony is irreversibly becoming a thing of the past. We firmly believe that the UN, alongside other international institutions, must embody the voice of the majority, not the few. All countries should be presented equally, as it was decided at the cradle of the UN. This is what is formulated in the UN Charter: the sovereign equality of states, non-interference in each other's internal affairs, and respect for the right of nations to self-determination. Regrettably, our Western colleagues have been negating these ideas and contradicting themselves. We are exasperated to see that the global economy is becoming nothing more than a pawn in the game of political ambition. For the sake of containing Russia, China, and other countries whose independent policies are perceived as a challenge to their authority, the West, through its aggressive actions, is crushing the system of globalization contrary to it originally being formed by its models. The manifestation of this can be perfectly seen as they impose their unjustified sanctions on any of the previously mentioned countries. This only impedes the international economy, which then worsens the state of struggling countries. It is further important to guarantee that developing countries are independent in utilization of their national resources and that they receive a fair price that they are entitled to. The monopoly in monetary and financial regulation, trade and technologies must be dismantled. To this, once more, the West opposes, wherefore it wouldn't allow them to influence poorer nations. However, that matters little, seeing as the global majority again agrees on the matter. A pivotal step to restoration of the UN's effectiveness would be the reconfirmation by all member states to their commitment to the principles of the UN Charter, not selectively, but in their entirety and as a whole. We know that the formation of a new world order that reflects balance and is in accordance with the present geopolitical, economical, and demographical reality is complicated, even painful to some. At the same time, however, we would like to reassure every nation that if we build this world on the ground of multilateralism and multipolarity, when we reach the other side, the international community will stand on the most unshakable of grounds. To conclude our speech, we feel it necessary to point out that the end of history, envisioned and championed by the West 30 years ago, has failed to materialize. We remain in the UN, debating about recurring problems. Some are defending themselves against extremist regimes, and some, regrettably, are stating hypocrisies. During this conference, the Russian Federation will strive to overcome such problems, and we invite every nation to join the discussion on the principles of mutual trust and honesty. Thank you. We are open to any and all POIs.
Thank you. All those nations wishing to ask POIs, please raise your placard high now. United Kingdom. India, followed by the United Kingdom, followed by Mexico.
We would like to ask the staff members to bring a microphone to you in the first row. Thank you very much.
We appreciate the speech and we appreciate the recognition of the presidency. First of all, delegate mentioned the going against their own words multiple times, so therefore we would like to reflect on the United Nations Security Council Resolution 1680 proclaiming the blue line of the Lebanon state. And therefore Russia was one of the two states that actually did not vote in favor of this resolution and therefore violated the proclaims of the blue line. So therefore how can the delegate state that other states are going against their own word? Well, Russian Federation is actively sending their peacekeeping forces across the blue line in Lebanon.
First of all, Delegate, a POI should be a short question. And secondly, Delegate, Russia has foreign affairs. That's a thing. And the Russian Federation tries to keep in the international law every time. There are cases that might require careful consideration, and that is true in Lebanon. However, the Russian Federation believes that they did nothing wrong in the situation, and the delegates' allegations are not true. Thank you.
Request a follow-up. Short.
That will be unfortunately denied. United Kingdom.
The staff member could just pass the microphone on, and that would maybe be shorter in the future. Thank you.
Thank you for the recognition and thank you for the fine speech, Delegate. We have discovered that a central and core topic of the delegate's speech was quote-unquote self-determination and a new balance in the new world order. Now we would like to ask the following questions. Would the delegate also support and be in favor of the self-determination of every nation, including the sovereign nation of Ukraine? And how does the waging of wars on such sovereign nations fit into this new world order and balance that the delegate described?
Delegates, we can now exactly see what the West does if something is not right for their taste. So, delegate, the delegate might be familiar in the current Ukraine situation. The Russian Federation is actually defending its citizens against an extremist regime who have many times who have actually been forcing disappearance. This extremist regime has been forcing disappearances, discriminating against our people. The Russian Federation only wants to defend these people. However, we cannot quite clearly see how the UK can ask such questions, as UK still has a colony. How can they then ask us about ask us about equality and recognition of states? The UK is a hypocrite in this case. Thank you.
Motion for a follow-up.
Unfortunately, that will be denied.
Thank you.
The delegate of Mexico, please ask your POI.
Thank you for that wonderful speech, delegate. The Russian Federation is targeting Mexico with information operations with the goal of sowing distrust toward NATO states and influencing Mexicans to support Russia's actions. We would like to ask the delegate if they would refrain from doing so.
Well, those are first untruthful allegations. Secondly, the delegate mentioned the NATO. If we are at the NATO, we would like to mention how it is built up like a mafia. It creates a problem, then makes countries tank to defending against them. So that's another thing. And thirdly, the delegates, we do not quite clearly understand what the delegates' allegations are. The Russian Federation would never attack, would never target any sovereign state with information. We did not quite understand what the delegate said, but with what the delegate said. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for the speech. Does the delegate yield the floor back?
So yielded.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. And now we would like to ask the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland to approach the floor and deliver their opening speech. And also for future reference, follow-ups will not be in order due to time constraints. We are really sorry about that.
Distinguished Secretary General, Honorable Presidents of the General Assembly, dear fellow conference organizers, participants, and observers. We are living in extremely fragile times. The world that we thought to have been stable has been constantly changing in the past decade. The United Kingdom recognizes the many challenges that the UN must address simultaneously in the present day. At our prospective conference, we are going to discuss some of the most pressing ones. 15 billion pounds. That is the amount of humanitarian and military aid our country has provided Ukraine. We are committed to NATO, and we deem it important to uphold international law in response to the Russian invasion. As our Prime Minister, Keir Starmer, has also stated, we are going to continue providing the necessary aid to Ukraine. Having established our diplomatic support towards them, we will continue advocating for Ukraine's NATO membership. Over 50,000 lives. That is the amount the ongoing conflict in the Gaza Strip had cost since the October of 2023. Moreover, hundreds of thousands more got severely injured, displaced, or are grieving lost ones. This conflict has been affecting the civilians' lives for too long. Therefore, the United Kingdom calls for transparency and accountability in the region to establish a lasting ceasefire and protect the civilians from further suffering. 10 centimeters in 30 years. That's how much global sea levels have risen. Climate change has been an ever-pressing issue for some time now. The United Kingdom still firmly believes that international cooperation is the only way to combat it, which would eventually result in de-escalating the geopolitical tensions as well. The development of artificial intelligence is most definitely going to determine the next decades in global affairs, thus making it crucial for us to engage in constant discussion regarding its threats, opportunities, and fields of possible regulation. We must foster technological progress, however, we must also consider the cyber threats of such developments. Consequently, the United Kingdom supports responsible AI development. And finally, the utmost significant issue the United Kingdom wishes to advocate for at this present conference is the respect of human rights, as well as respecting democratic values and the rule of law. Many regions, many countries are disregarding such values that we deem to be most important. We call on all nations to defend human dignity, democracy, and the values that underpin our modern world. Let us approach this conference with an open mind and use it as a platform to initiate real change. The delegation of the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland wishes all of you a fruitful debate and hopes that this conference will serve for the betterment of our globe. Thank you. We're open to any and all points of information.
Lower your placards. We have not yet introduced the motion. Are there any nations wishing to ask a POI? If so, please raise your placards high now. Iran, followed by Spain, followed by Luxembourg. Iran, you have been recognized.
Thank you, Delegate, for your fine speech. We were wondering, what is the justification for maintaining military bases or intervening in the affairs of sovereign nations? And do these actions align with contemporary international norms or non-interference? We would like to ask that to the delegate because of their neo-colonial ties to different countries. Thank you.
Thank you, Delegate, for the question. First of all, we would like to say that the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland is deeply and utterly committed to the upholding of human rights and rule of law, and as we mentioned in our speech. We deem that it's really important to bring and to uphold these values all over the world, since we feel like we have a responsibility for our fellow humans living on this globe, and we wish to exercise this responsibility to make their future brighter. Thank you.
Sure. Thank you, Delegate.
Thank you very much. Spain has been recognized for a POI.
Thank you. Given the UK's historical role in the region, particularly during the British Mandate, how does the delegate reconcile its current support for Palestine with its historical responsibility in shaping the conflict?
Thank you, Delegate, for the question. As mentioned, we think that the region of Israel and Palestine, the Middle East in general, is supposed to be at the front of our discussions during this conference as well. because we deem this issue to be really important, especially from the perspective of the civilians. We do recognize our past or previous actions that influenced the development of the region. We, however, also strongly believe that what we can shape the most is the future, and therefore we would like to look forward and achieve a lasting peace in the region.
Thank you.
Also, thank you. Luxembourg, you have been recognized for a POI.
And how does the UK intend to balance its domestic fuel interests with its international commitments under the Paris Agreement, which Luxembourg strongly upholds?
Thank you, Delegate, for your question. We are very keen on reaching the goals of a sustainable future, and thus we would like to assure the delegate that we will do everything in our best to manage both our fuel imports, exports, as well, in order to reach the goal of a sustainable future. Yes, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. And now I would like to ask the United Kingdom to yield the floor back.
The floor is yielded.
Thank you.
Thank you. The United States of America, please approach the floor and deliver your opening speech.
Your Excellencies, Secretariat and Presidency of the General Assembly, Honorable Chairs, fellow delegates, lovely members of the staff and press, hard-working members of the organizing team, MUN directors, ladies and gentlemen. We'll begin with some very simple questions. Questions that most of us find easy and even natural to answer. What is our purpose? The purpose of the United Nations? Is it to allow governments to take advantage of one another? Is it to support and consolidate the ideals of democracy across the globe, helping create a better social and economic environment? Or is it just a stage on which government representatives are constantly using their power and influence to captivate the public and mislead them into thinking that they understand the world's complexities, when in truth they ignore what lies plainly before them? All of these questions are important and demand long-awaited answers from people engaged in daily social and existential struggle. However, even with that being said, we have, for a very long time, been active supporters of the ideals upheld by the United Nations. We will continue to be, as a founding member of an organization created during dire times when ordinary people wondered whether they would live to see the next day as bombs fell around them. Over time, such uncertainties and questions have only multiplied, leading us to the current state of global discontent. Beyond the core principles of democracy, we now face the consequences of humanity's actions against the planet. One of the greatest threats is global warming, which endangers our future. Rising temperatures, though gradual, have the potential to cause catastrophic disasters, disrupting entire ecosystems. Although we recognize the severity of the issue, We firmly believe that the United States should not bear the burden of the global community alone. We will not allow ourselves to be exploited while others reap the benefits. Another crucial issue we face is the situation in the Middle East. The United States of America, as a defender of peace, seeks not the escalation, but the resolution of tensions in the Arab-Israeli conflict. We strongly condemn all terrorist organizations and any violations of human rights. Our primary goal in the region is to establish a peaceful and stable environment where people can live with dignity and security. Bearing all of this in mind, we stand before you as a proud nation, determined to reclaim what is rightfully ours by birthright. Prosperity...
Please come to your closing remarks.
Of course. Influence and happiness in the lives of our citizens. The time has come to evolve. The time has come for the American people. It is time to build a glorious, prosperous, and resilient American state. It is time to make America great again. Thank you.
Is the delegate open to POIs?
Any and all.
All those delegates wishing to ask POIs, please raise your placard high now. PRC, followed by Panama, followed by Italy. PRC, you have been recognized.
Thank you for the recognition. The delegate of the United States of America stated that they would like to build a more peaceful and prosperous America. Our question is very simple. How do they plan on doing that, since after they invaded Iraq and invaded Afghanistan, they have spread mass Islamophobia in their nations, with studies claiming that 90% of Americans first associate Arabic people as terrorists? How can the delegate make this a part of a peaceful and prosperous America?
Thank you, Delegate, for a question. So first of all, the delegate should be aware of the fact that we have been attacked by terrorists. The 9/11 events deeply affected our communities, deeply affected our country, and made a wound that would never heal in the American history. We see our relations with the Middle Eastern countries, and basically countries all over the world, with emphasis. We want to build a prosperous future, but at the same time, we expect something in exchange. We cannot be the only ones who want to build its future. It has to come from both sides, because if it comes only from us, it will be basically useless.
Thank you.
Panama. Dear staff, please give the microphone to the delegate of Panama.
Thank you for that great speech. The United States has been a leader of global peace, especially during the last Trump administration. And with the new presidency of Trump, we're hoping to see the next golden age of the United States. However, for a global peace, we require that no nation does military operations. So for that, we call upon the United States to rule out the military intervention and use of military force to acquire the Panama Canal. Is the United States willing to make that commitment? Is the United States committed to global peace?
Thank you, Delegate, for a question. Yes, we are committed to global peace. We haven't invaded anyone yet. So, we do not understand why the delegate keeps insisting on such matters. The United States will preserve global peace. The United States will preserve great relations with the delegation of Panama, but at the same time, you also have to take into consideration our ideas, our perceptions on the American continent. Thank you.
Motion for a follow-up?
That will be unfortunately denied. Delegate of Italy.
The delegate has stated that
they believe in protecting the ideals of democracy, and they have also stated that they want peace in the Israeli-Arabian conflict. So we have to ask, why has the United States vetoed 3 Security Council resolutions which called for ceasefire in the Israeli-Arabian conflict, while also being one of only 2 nations to go against these resolutions?
Thank you, Delegate, for your question. As we all know, the conflict in the Canaan region, as it's historically spoken about, is a very deep one, with various details, as we all know. We know that the international community is eager to find a solution to the conflict. We are as well. But the terms must also be feasible. The terms must also be okay for Israel, to say it like that, must be okay with the United States of America and the rest of the world. The whole purpose of veto power is to reject an idea which is not aligning with our principles. And that is what the United States of America have done in the UN in the past years. And that is what we will do in the future. Thank you.
That will be unfortunately denied. Does the delegate wish to yield the floor back to the presidency?
Yes, the floor is yielded.
Thank you.
Now we are going to listen to the 8 speeches of the selected non-P5 ambassadors. We are also going in alphabetic order. Firstly, we would like to ask the Argentine Republic to approach the floor and deliver their opening speech. And we would like to ask all 8 ambassadors to keep their answers to POIs short, because unfortunately we are running out of time. Thank you. Argentine, you have the floor.
Most esteemed Presidency, Secretary General, honorable chairs and guests, and most importantly, dear delegates, Argentina's message is of deep urgency. Our world today stands at a critical crossroads. We, nations holding vital power in their hands, must recognize what is at stake. The foundational purpose of the United Nations has come under threat, and this posits an essential problem. Will we embrace progress and virtue, or plummet headfirst into despair and catastrophe? This is no rhetorical question, dear delegates. It necessitates our answer, especially in the coming days under the duration of this conference. But how to answer it? Well, amid innumerable falsehoods, liberty remains the one guiding truth in politics. Because liberty is the measure of the global order's success. In its absence, we collectively sail into treacherous, if not fatal, waters. The pursuit of liberty must be our compass. And we must, therefore, dear delegates, embark on an endless pursuit and recapture these elemental freedoms, and let them be the forces that unite our divided efforts. Next to nations like the United States, El Salvador, or Hungary, the new Argentina will work tirelessly towards this ambition. Argentina today represents a real alternative, providing a breath of fresh air in a world of old grievances and persistent mistakes. But we must look back to find invaluable lessons. As erudite delegates will note, Argentinian history demonstrates a twofold story. It shows the indomitable spirit of our proud people, the Argentines, but also the catastrophic mistakes made by misguided dogmatists. Collectivists once destroyed Argentina. A free market and a free people will rebuild it. As Plutarch, the ancient Greek historian, sensibly remarked, from their mistakes, the wise and good learn wisdom for the future. Let us learn, dear delegates. The errors of the previous decades, of ideological coercion, of economic tyranny, of political folly, must never be repeated. The Vox Populi has spoken, and it has overwhelmingly rejected the global elite's alienated policies, cultural Marxism, interventionism, and so on. The United Nations must heed the people's call. But the priceless, original promise of this organization must prevail. It has to prevail. Otherwise, we lose all hope. Peace.
Please come to your closing remarks shortly.
Productive cooperation, coexistence. These are the pillars of multilateral diplomacy that we must reiterate. Dear delegates, Argentina knows what real progress requires because Argentina has had to learn the hard way. To promote this progress is our primary goal and responsibility at this conference. Let us embrace what we have come here for. Viva la libertad, carajo!
Thank you. Is the delegate open to 2 POIs?
Yes.
Are there such in the House? If so, please raise your placards high now. El Salvador, followed by Germany. El Salvador, you have been recognized.
We thank the delegate for the absolutely amazing speech. And does the delegate agree that to rule liberty is not the liberty of everyone to do the freedom they want, but the liberty to be safe, the liberty to be peaceful, and the liberty to not have to fear every day for a person? Does the delegate agree with that?
Que inteligente. Of course the delegate agrees. Liberty is a principle, and this principle is what must be upheld. But in certain cases, as we, for example, could see in El Salvador, certain liberties must be controlled to expand others, to expand the liberties of the many, of the majority. Yes, we agree.
Thank you. Germany, you have been recognized for a POI.
So firstly, we want to thank the delegation of Argentina for their great speech. And we just realized that the delegation of Argentina had stressed the importance of their freedom. But unfortunately, their finance system do not have that. They depend on it's been reported that they have huge debates to other countries and IMF. So we want to ask their position of their financial independence, especially in Committee of ECOSOC.
Well, thank you, delegate, for the question. Our current government, the administration of Senor Javier Milei, was in fact elected on a ticket to fix a broken economy. What the delegate brought up as points of financial sensitivity, dependence, and so on, are currently being fixed and reformed. If delegates, any delegate wishing to do so, opens Financial Times and searches for Argentina, they will find that the Argentinian economy is in the best state it has been in the last couple of decades. Peronism and socialism wrecked Argentine economy, but now libertarianism will inevitably fix it. Thank you.
Sorry, that won't be granted due to time constraints. We apologize for that, and we would like to ask the delegate to yield the floor back.
The floor is yielded. Thank you.
Democratic People's Republic of Korea, please approach the floor and deliver your speech.
Honorable Secretary General, Honorable Deputy Secretary General,
Honourable Presidents of the General Assembly, Honourable Chairs, distinguished delegates, lovely SIM staff, esteemed guests, ladies and gentlemen. Last year, on the 17th of November, missiles rained down from the sky. For any curious parties, no, this was in fact not one of our own rocket tests, but rather a senseless display of aggression from both the United States and the United Kingdom against our great allies in the Russian Federation. What began as a justified special operation in the Ukraine spiraled into a possible Third World War under the disastrous, warmongering previous US government. Rather than just Ukrainian troops being sarped into their own slaughter by corrupt leadership, now Western-made long-range weaponry was being used to attack Russian soil. The DPRK and our supreme leader, Marshal Kim Jong-un, have always been an advocate for national sovereignty and peace throughout the world. This is precisely why we have been supporting our Russian friends in their mission, through supplying some of our finest, globally feared, expertly trained soldiers to be used on the front line. Let us ask this House, why does it cause such uproar when we support our allies overseas in conflict, when the West has been doing just that for the last few years? Why, when we send military personnel to support a cause, is it labelled a significant escalation, but when American long-range missiles are being sent to attack a nation's mainland, it's referred to as precautionary? This decision was an irresponsible provocation, an attack on Russia by corrupt elites, and we will not accept being placed on the same pedestal for our actions. The situation in the Ukraine is just one of the abundance of crises that have emerged into the last few years. War in Gaza, war in Sudan, conflict in Yemen, spiralling climate change as a result of capitalistic ideals, rampant crime and terrorism in Europe. Dear delegates, it appears that the so-called Western-run globe is in turmoil. So where do we stand? The Democratic People's Republic of Korea prides itself on being the only self-sustaining nation on Earth. We are not, and never will be, any power's puppet state, something that perhaps not all member nations can declare. Our people are protected from foreign intervention, courtesy of our sizable and well-equipped military. Our people are prosperous, with domestic production being at an all-time high, and our people are happy. This is because the West has failed to infiltrate our culture with their distasteful ideals. Take one look at our country. The streets are clean. Clear gender roles mean families are close-knit, fathers work exceptionally hard to provide for their kin, mothers raise strong, productive children. There is no room for strange notions of transgenders or vegans. Lest we forget our rapidly developing nuclear weapons program, the backbone of our national security and the ultimate deterrent from external aggression. Our rational Jusha ideology and our superior leadership is why the DPRK relies on no one to aid our existence. We look after our own. Despite the negativity of the past, this message is one of hope. Our long-standing criticism of Western elites and ideals appears to be being realised more so in recent months. We welcome the stance of the Trump administration on the Russo-Ukrainian conflict. The DPRK has persistently advocated for a peaceful solution to this situation and firmly rejected the idea of a forever war that will benefit nobody. The actions taken by the new government in terms of cleansing the United States management of corruption are also endorsed by ourselves. Dismantling the power structures that have perpetuated inequality and global instability resonate with the values that we ourselves hold near and dear. The previous Trump administration and our great
Delegates,
leader...
please come to a closing remark.
One moment. The previous Trump administration and our great leader were also able to work together somewhat to quell disagreements between our two nations. And we hope that these 4 years will be even more fruitful than beforehand. A new world order is emerging, dear delegates. Where does each nation stand? Glory to our supreme leader, glory to our people, glory to the Democratic People's Republic of Korea.
Thank you for the speech. Is the delegate open to POIs?
And you know.
Are there any such in the House? If so, raise your placard high now. Cuba, followed by the Netherlands, and then the Russian Federation.
Thank you for your speech. Given the DPRK emphasizes self-reliance and sovereignty, how does your delegation define the concept of freedom within your national context, and how do you respond to international critics regarding civil liberties?
We thank the delegate for their interesting questions. So, we of course follow a different ideology to that of most Western nations, one of due share. But why is this an issue? Of course, our people may value the needs of the many over perhaps individual liberties and freedoms, but they chose that. We do have elections. And why is this such a great issue? Simply because we are different. Why does the West always have to meddle in our nation? Simply because they do not agree with what we are doing. We leave the West alone. Why can't the West do the same to us?
Netherlands, you are recognized.
Thank you for your speech. How can the delegates say that their people are happy when their loved ones are constantly being sent to concentration camps and getting treated horribly and overworked?
Well, we are interested to know where the delegates has received that information, as the North Korean Bureau of Statistics shows no such figures. However, we understand there's nothing we can say that won't get us mocked, ridiculed, and made fun of. So, we take this opportunity to invite every single delegate, chair, and PGA in this room to take a trip to Pyongyang. All expenses paid. Check it out for yourselves. It's a lovely place, honestly. Don't listen.
Thank you.
Thank you, Delegate of Russia.
Thank you for the fine speech. Doesn't the delegate agree that the only thing standing between us and global peace is Western countries and their propaganda villainizing countries with growing economies and advocating for peace?
Exactly. That is exactly what we've been trying to say for the past few years. Another great point to make is the Cold War is over. It is the time to work together.
Thank you. Does the delegate yield the floor back?
The floor is yielded.
Thank you.
Thank you. Now I would like to recognize the Islamic Republic of Iran for their opening speech. You have the floor.
Dear Secretary General, Deputy Secretary General, President of General Assembly, respected Secretariat, most esteemed delegates, friends, ladies, gentlemen, and staff. Nations, what does being on a sharp edge of a blade by enduring decades of unjust sanctions, regional instability, and foreign interferences do to a country such as Iran? Well, it makes us aware of the importance of de-escalating conflicts, need for preventing terrorism, and importance of eradicating racial discrimination in the justice system. The great Islamic Republic of Iran is honored to stand here today and is a major power in the Middle East. We stay committed to fostering dialogue with global fairness in a mutually respected manner. We seek towards a balance between the timeless wisdom of tradition and the urgent need for innovation in addressing global challenges. Firstly, we believe that great urgency should be put on de-escalating tensions in our neighboring countries, as our proximity to these nations has allowed us to feel just a fragment of their miseries. We're here to fight for them to be heard. We call for nations not to turn a blind eye to actions of those who seek to sow discords in our region. Second, we must address the extremist groups and terrorism. Considering our great nation has been battling this problem for years and has experienced the devastating consequences firsthand in recent attacks such as that on Sistan and Balochistan provinces. It is in our interest to terminate terroristic organizations. However, we reject foreign-backed interventions that fuel instability and instead we advocate for addressing the root causes such as poverty, occupation, and political marginalization. We advocate towards reducing false claims of terrorism through propaganda when referring to fighting for freedom. Lastly, we encourage eradication of racial discrimination in the justice system, having faced consequences of these actions on a national level. Iran has stood with the United Nations as we firmly believe that the justice must be applied equally to all, without bias or prejudice. As the Persian proverb states, "In despair, there is much hope. In the end of the dark, night is bright." Our delegation is not easily intimidated. We're prepared to work hard for what we believe in, providing a better future for all those affected by injustice, inequality, and foreign interference. We are prepared to work with all nations willing to have respectful dialogue and stand ready to collaborate. Merci, thank you. We're open to any and all points of information.
Thank you very much. Are there 2 points of information in the house? If so, please raise your placards high. Now. Sorry, which country is up? And Canada, followed by Japan. Canada, you have been recognized.
Thank you, Delegate. Thank you, Delegate, for your great speech. The delegation of Canada would like to know, given Iran's increasing involvement in, for example, supporting militias in Yemen and Syria, how can the delegation of the Islamic Republic of Iran state that they're de-escalating conflict when in fact they're escalating them?
We believe in fighting for freedom. However, we are a sanctioned country and we are often affected by propaganda by Western media. Sadly, many nations do not know all the actions going on in the Middle East, and sadly, many nations do not know about all the efforts we put into de-escalating all conflicts. We would like to use this conference as an opportunity to make other nations aware of our efforts and, together with all other nations, try to fix these problems.
Thank you for your answer, Delegate.
Thank you for the question and for the answer. And now Japan has been recognized for a POI.
So, thank you for the great speech. 1 second. Sorry. So thank you for the great speech. Can the delegate further elaborate on the fact that any woman or anti-government individuals can face death penalty? Isn't this a massive violation of human rights?
That is, again, some information that is caused by the Western media propaganda. Our laws are strict, yes, but we have them developed on our ideologies, on our religion, and they suit all, and we do not punish people that harshly for all things going on in the world and for them breaking laws. We punish them in the same way any other nation would punish somebody breaking the law. We do not punish people for just simply not wearing hijab or something like that.
Thank you. Sorry, that won't be granted, and we would like to ask the delegate to yield the floor back.
We yield the floor back.
Thank you.
The Republic of Cuba, please approach the floor and deliver your opening speech.
Honorable Presidency, esteemed delegates, distinguished guests, dear staff, organization, and press members. It is an honor to stand before this assembly as the representative of the Republic of Cuba. Our nation, vast in spirit but small in size, has always stood for serenity, solidarity, and justice. In every challenge we have faced, whether political, economic, or environmental, Cuba has remained unwavering in its commitment to progress, equity, and international cooperation. Cuba continues to uphold its commitment to social development. Even eternal economic obstacles couldn't lessen our determination to guarantee education, healthcare, and social security as fundamental human rights for all. Our literacy rates are among the highest worldwide, as well as our life expectancy. These accomplishments reflect our commitment to our society, placing people over profit. Cuban doctors have provided assistance in over 150 countries, responding to health crises as COVID-19. Healthcare is a universal right, not a privilege, and we stand ready to help wherever it is needed. Cuba acknowledges the lasting effects of colonialism and systemic inequality on racial and social justice. We believe that education plays a key role in eliminating discrimination and urge the international community to prioritize racial justice as a cultural and educational matter that shapes the future of all societies. We disproportionately bear the consequences of climate change. Rising sea levels, coastal erosion, and intensified hurricanes are not distant threats, but present realities. We call on the world, especially industrialized nations, to support developing countries in mitigating climate change. Cuba is firmly committed to multilateral cooperation. We advocate for a world in which diplomacy prevails over conflict. States promote collective well-being and resources are distributed fairly rather than reinforcing inequality. In conclusion, Cuba's message to this assembly is clear. Resilience, justice, and solidarity must guide our path forward together. We urge all nations to work together for peace, equality, and sustainable development. Let us unite to build a world in which every nation, regardless of its size or power, is treated with dignity and respect. Thank you.
Thank you. Is the delegate open to points of information?
No.
Then we ask the delegate to yield the floor back to the presidency.
The floor is yielded.
Thank you.
Now, we would like to recognize the Republic of India for their opening speech. Please approach the podium and deliver your opening speech.
Dear Secretary General and Deputy Secretary General, dear President of the General Assembly and Deputy President of the General Assembly, dear Presidency, honorable chairs, distinguished delegates, dear members of the staff, members of the press, ladies and gentlemen, the future depends on what we do in the present. These words were spoken by His Majesty Mahatma Gandhi, and as he was reminding the world of the principles of justice, humanity, and peace more than 100 years ago, he passed the torch of freedom to us. It's both with humility and honor that we have a chance to embrace this legacy in front of the United Nations General Assembly. Therefore, we will take this chance to remind the world that peace does not depend on the hemisphere or the political bloc. Peace is universal, and therefore it must be fought for. Today, we address you not only as the voice of 1.4 billion people, but also as the partner in the shared mission. Great nation of India always believed in the philosophy of our great philosophers that states, the world is one family. These guiding principles has shaped the glorious nation of India through their political involvement, including humanitarian agendas, climate action, peacekeeping mission, innovation, etc. As of today, we live in the world that can best be described as a ticking time bomb that must be deactivated diplomatically, because the dead man's switch, which in this case is the lives of millions of people and great collateral damage, will not tolerate violence. Furthermore, India has been long-standing paramount of contribution towards the United Nations peacekeeping agendas, sending our brave and glorious men and women to uphold peace and stability in conflict zones all across the globe, while always believing in diplomacy and multilateralism being the cornerstones of conflict resolution. Therefore, the principles of the United Nations Charter will always be the leading force in what we believe is the peaceful world. But the world today is vastly different from the time the United Nations was established. Global governance and leadership must evolve to be able to reflect the new realities. India has advocated for multilateral and inclusive world order, including the reforms of the United Nations Security Council regarding the abuse of veto power of permanent 5 members, an ignorance towards the voice of the sovereign states, and today we stand here to ensure that every member state has the undisputed right to their own vote. Mahatma Gandhi always believed in the unity and mutual respect, and in his name, Republic of India extends the hand of collaboration and change to all nations. Because the world peace is not a task given to one, the world peace is a task given to all of us. Jai Hind!
Thank you very much. Is the delegate open to any points of information?
Yes.
Are there 2 points of information in the House? If so, please raise your placards high now. Pakistan followed by Lebanon. Pakistan, you have been recognized for a POI.
We thank the Republic of India for their speech, and we would like to ask, how can Republic of India talk about peace and world peace while their actions on the Kashmir region still continues of the mass destruction in the Kashmir region?
We must inform the United Nations General Assembly, the Republic of India, besides Pakistan, is the largest contributor to United Nations peacekeeping forces, sending 907 peacekeepers to Lebanon, an additional 900 to Congo, the biggest United Nations peacekeeping-led mission till now. So therefore we believe that these allegations might not be truthful, considering that the great Republic of India is the greatest contributor to peace till this day, because we never picked the side, we never picked the hemisphere, we were always for the people, we were always for the peace. Thank you.
Thank you. And now Lebanon, you have been recognized for a POI.
We thank you for the excellent speech, delegate. We thank India for their contributions to the UNIFIL peacekeeping mission, which is crucial for the long-lasting peace. Would India recognize Israel as the aggressor in this conflict and reaffirm the sovereignty of the Lebanese people in their struggle against Israeli aggression, and recognize the sovereignty of the Lebanese state in the whole of Lebanon?
By a resolution of the United Nations Security Council 1701, Blue Line proclaims what is the territory that shouldn't be fought in. So therefore, we recognize any state, any non-state actor, any non-governmental organization fighting region as aggressor to the peace, and therefore we believe, yes, that any state that is willing to interfere with the sovereign territory and the peace and prosperity of the nation, therefore is the aggressor in the peacekeeping of the United Nations. Thank you.
But sorry, that won't be granted due to time constraints, and we'd like to ask Delegate to yield the floor back.
We yield the floor.
Thank you. Now the delegate of Turkey, please approach the floor and deliver your opening speech.
Dear Presidency of the General Assembly, dear ambassadors, delegates, distinguished representatives, chairs, and guests. In 1919, the Turkish War of Independence began, leading to the establishment of the Republic of Turkey. Prior to that, in the late 13th century, the Ottoman Empire was founded, and over the years of expanding significantly, it became a major world power. Further back, Constantinople had served as the capital of the Eastern Roman Empire. While looking back, examining the footsteps of our ancestors, we realize that the present values of Turkey deeply intertwine with our history. We cherish our cultural heritage. We celebrate human rights, democracy, and law, the values that the Turkish national movement fought for, the values on which the Constitution of the Republic of Turkey is based.
Turkey, a bridge between continents and cultures, has always understood the interconnectedness of the world we live in. Our foreign policy, rooted in the peace at home, peace in the world and policy, aims to strengthen regional peace and security, expand the basis of our relations, and promote economic development and prosperity in our region, while emphasizing proactive diplomacy and peaceful dialogue prevailing over conflict. Indeed, Turkey has been an active founding member of the United Nations since the establishment in 1945. Currently, we are mainly focusing on sustainable development goals, such as halving extreme poverty and hunger, general health and well-being, quality education, and much, much more, all based on possible partnership with other nations for the goals and organizations and communities. Overall, 17 distinguished but interconnected and ambitious goals which address the major development challenges faced by the people not only in Turkey but around the world, which we plan to achieve by 2030. The plans are a global call to action for all nations to ensure that people everywhere can enjoy peace and prosperity, all based on our human-oriented development approach, which we achieve remarkable progress in providing better quality of public services. Looking ahead, Turkey will focus on maintaining the peace of progress while promoting our head principle, which is leaving no one behind, both domestically and internationally. By virtue of Turkey's recognition that development and international cooperation are highly interdependent, Turkey wants to highlight the importance of inclusion of developing countries in global decision-making. We want to advocate for their interests as the ambassador acknowledges our global responsibilities and wants to place significant value on keeping in mind all of those core values that lead our nation. Finally, the ambassador would like to quote the Turkish national anthem and the words, "Freedom is the right of my nation who worships God and seeks what is right," aiming to inspire all the present delegates, ambassadors, and representatives to seek what is right in our world, fighting for humanity and strive to improve the reality of today. The ambassador is open to any of those. Thank you. The ambassador is open to any of those information.
Thank you very much. All those nations wishing to ask POIs, please raise your placards high now. Indonesia, followed by Syria.
Thank you, dear delegates, for your speech. Is the delegation aware of the fact that their current president, Recep Tayyip Erdogan, has been in his position for over 20 years, and this forms a threat to democracy within the country due to his way of leadership?
So we are aware of our current situation in Turkey. We're aware of our domestic policies. We are aware of what we strive for. That was the point of our speech. We are aware of what the delegate is saying, and we want to improve what our policies, as they are flawed. We acknowledge that. So that's why we want to work within the UN to not only represent our country, but also strive for better reality. Thank you.
Thank you. Delegate of Syria, you have been recognized.
We thank the delegate for their fine speech, and we would just like to say that we greatly appreciate Turkey's aid in hosting Syrian refugees, since our country experienced one of the greatest humanitarian crises in modern history. And we are proud of our past collaboration with the Republic of Turkey. And our question would be, would the delegates agree that Syria needs a unified transitional government in order to combat tensions, help our people, and maintain peace?
We would agree. The Republic of Turkey would agree that we need to settle the problems that are present in our world, especially the Syrian conflict, and we want to improve the quality of your lives. That's why we have founded tons of help for Syrian, not only refugees, but generally the Syrian population, and that's why we agree that another transitional government, may be based on other transitional government that led to the establishment of other nations in the past, would help to improve the reality of what's happening right now in Syria. Thank you.
Thank you.
That will be unfortunately overruled. Delegates, we have to keep to the schedule. Does the delegate wish to yield the floor back to the presidency?
Yield the floor back to the presidency.
Thank you.
Now we would like to move on to the next opening speech by the State of Japan. Please approach the floor and deliver your opening speech.
Her Excellency the Secretary General, Her Excellency the Deputy Secretary General, highly esteemed Presidents of the General Assembly, honorable chairs, fellow delegates, and dear guests. Global politics and cooperation have come to an inflection point. We are faced with great threats that affect every single one of us. Sustainable Development Solutions Network reports that on a global average, only 16% of the Sustainable Development Goals targets are on track to be achieved by 2030. Moreover, the escalation of conflicts all over the world are of great concern. The Russian Federation on the Ukrainian front has yet to cease their aggressions, and additionally tensions in the Middle East are claiming the lives of everyday citizens on a daily basis. Japan, as a member of the G7 and the leading nation in all forums of international cooperation, keeps hearing the desperate desire for peace from all over the world, the cries of vulnerable people seeking help and protection. It is our duty and obligation to respond to these voices. Now is the time to decide the fate of humanity as a whole, to put aside individual political interests and work together to adhere to the purpose of the United Nations. Delegates, it is high time we held perpetrators of international law accountable for their actions. The Russian Federation, as a permanent member of the Security Council, has repeatedly violated the sovereignty of other nations. Ukraine from 2014 until the very present moment, Georgia in 2008, and Moldova's Transnistria. In fact, Russia has also infringed upon the sovereign rights of Japan by illegally occupying Japan's northern territories, the Kuril Islands. When will the Russian Federation restore all these territories they have stolen from some of these nations? On the same topic of international security and disarmament, nuclear disarmament should be the #1 priority of the international community. We advise all member states to review and implement the principles of Japan's Hiroshima Action Plan. In an attempt to raise awareness, Japan invites all world leaders to witness the lasting effects these weapons of mass destruction had on Hiroshima and Nagasaki. Throughout the debates, the leaders of the countries present are ought to make progress in pivotal areas of reducing inequalities, such as in the economic sectors. Japan has observed that there is a growing issue concerning nations that exploit developing countries through hidden debt traps and unfair trade policies. Of such, we express our deep concerns about programs like the Chinese Belt and Road Initiative. Recipient countries of the Belt and Road Initiative accumulate unsustainable debt burdens, often referred to as debt traps, through which more and more nations become financially dependent on China. We advise all nations to refrain from such initiatives and invest in quality infrastructure models instead. Overwhelming progress in the areas of digitalization and artificial intelligence entails growing risks associated with privacy and human rights. As a response, Japan has launched the Hiroshima AI process after the G7 Hiroshima summit. The framework includes guiding principles and code of conduct aimed at promoting the safe, secure, and trustworthy advancements of AI systems. Furthermore, immediate progress in environmental issues is vital as we approach a point of no return. In the next 7 years, we must work together to deliver results and make progress towards net zero emissions. Let it be heard when we say
Delegates, please come to your closing
the
remarks.
stake is no less than the survival of humans as a species. Inequality paralyzes global cooperation and progress towards achieving the hereby set out goals. It is by no means justifiable for any nation to block global action in a world of 8 million people, and that especially applies to the Security Council. So for the sake of all people of the world and the future generations to come, we encourage P5 nations to give up their veto powers and encourage all member states to let us instill cooperation beyond the borders to strengthen and focus efforts to address the most dire needs of the 21st century. Thank you, and we are open to all POIs.
First, we will entertain the right of replies. Russia, please rise and explain your right of reply.
Okay. Does this work? So, the delegate of Japan accused us of not respecting the sovereignty of other states, which is completely untrue, and they have no obligation to do this in the UN meeting. And they also said that we are occupying their territory when Russia is basically holding claims to its own territory, and we think that the Japanese also have no obligation to attack Russia over this. Thank you.
Right of response.
Granted, but please keep it short.
So we don't see the point why the delegate might be offended, seeing as that the international community and the United Nations also recognize that they are illegally conducting their invasion of Ukraine. Furthermore, regarding our own territories, the Kuril Islands, they have signed several treaties with us in the past that gave us control of the Kuril Islands. They have repeatedly violated their obligation to uphold this treaty, and that shows perfectly how they are once more, in another instance, occupying illegally other nations' sovereign territories.
Since it is in fact UN recognized fact that Russian Federation invaded Ukraine unrighteously, this will not be accepted. And we would like to ask the PRC to raise and explain their right of reply.
Please keep it short.
Thank you for the recognition. It saddens us, the People's Republic of China, that the Japanese delegate, in their speech, only emphasized on disregarding the nation's work. They disregarded that the People's Republic of China and the Belt and Road Initiative is only about debt trapping, and this diplomacy is only beneficial for the People's Republic of China. We'd like to highlight cases, for example, in Zimbabwe, Italy, and in the Middle East, where the Belt and Road Initiative has actually helped nations to develop their infrastructure. Because of that, we find it unrighteous that the Japanese delegate only stated that the Belt and Road Initiative is based on a debt-trapping diplomacy. Thank you.
Right of response.
Granted, but keep it short.
So, delegate, 10 years into the Belt and Road Initiative, 80% of China's government loans to developing countries have gone to nations in debt distress. What is that if not taking advantage of developing nations? Furthermore, Sri Lanka's international airport and port city have failed to attract international investors. Now they are in grave economic distress because of China. Zambia is also a perfect case study of how the Belt and Road Initiative have failed their loanees.
An apology will not be in order simply because the rhetoric of Japan was not aggressive and they have tried to state facts at all times. Thank you.
Thank you. Now we would like to ask Delegate to yield the floor back since we are running out of time, unfortunately.
We yield the floor back.
The United Mexican States, please approach the floor and deliver your opening speech.
Her Excellency Secretary General, Her Excellency Deputy Secretary General, Her Excellency President of the General Assembly, His Excellency Deputy President of the General Assembly, esteemed chairs, fellow delegates, members of the staff and press, guests. As the famous Mexican proverb goes, water that you must not drink, let it run. In summary, do not meddle in what you cannot handle. Today, however, Mexico is not one to stand aside in light of our past. Our territories under foreign oppression in the past have been a tumbleweed, rolling from place to place, hence and forth, dragged by the winds of history. First, the once great Aztec Empire fell to the Spanish conquistadors. Then came the colonial period, bringing us Mexicans forced labor and economic exploitation in return for, well, Catholic missionaries. Thankfully, our ancestors never gave up, even under such dire circumstances, and finally united our people under one banner in 1821. These events still shape us today and show why the always underestimated Mexico needs to have a say in the ways the global arena of geopolitics is run. First of all, we ought to express our critique of the rise of global misogyny on online platforms with special regard to the paramount liability that the companies behind them have in its management. Secondly, in SOCOM, cognizant of Mexico's multicultural society and history, we will fight for the basic principles governing the UN by not accepting the fact that our police officers specifically target people of color, but rather engage in fruitful discussions. Furthermore, to counter the predominantly neoliberal ideology causing modern-day colonialism, we propose reformatory measures while still awaiting a paradigm change in SPECPOL. Delegates, we don't need a chainsaw stripping the elderly of pensions and the youth of accessible education. We need strong educational services, a public healthcare institution that will actually aid our people, and, well, responsible politicians. Are we asking for too much? Well, we don't know yet. The committees will only tell. In the meantime, we'll also have the opportunity to campaign against such horrors as human trafficking, emerging monopolies, and the displacement of humans due to environmental changes in the committees of UNEP, CSTD, and CCPCJ. Anyways, to avoid wasting any more time, we would like to conclude our speech by stating that Mexico wants peace, not genocide, prosperity, not egg shortages and insulin capped at $98, as in the case of the USA, and we want, on top of it all, a free, democratic world where every woman can walk into any public space without the fear of being assaulted. Thank you.
Is the delegate open to POIs?
Of course.
Since we are running very tight on the schedule, unfortunately, only one POI will be entertained. All those delegates wishing to ask POIs, please raise your placards high now. Australia, you have been recognized. Staff, please approach the delegate and give them a microphone.
Can the delegation of the United Mexican States say or take? How is the delegation taking actions towards climate change and induced displacements?
Thank you for the great question, Delegate. As the delegate may know, our President, Claudia Sheinbaum, has a PhD in environment, so we are thankful for this great question as we have a lot to say about this topic. Well, first of all, we obviously have enacted laws concerning the emission of CO2 by certain companies. That's the main focus of our whole actions. But on the note, we also want to emphasize a great program actually led by our president, issuing that all countries here present today and not present today should actually spend at least 1% of their military funding on environmental programs such as educational campaigns or otherwise that the countries would choose so do so. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Does the delegate yield the floor back to the presidency?
Yes, we yield the floor back.
Thank you. And with that, we will conclude the opening ceremony and the General Assembly. We would like to express our gratitude towards Urania National Film Theatre for providing us with such a prestigious venue. Now we will hold the lunch break. Please, all delegates arrive back at Eötvös Secondary School at 2 p.m. for the optional program or 5 p.m. for the presentations.
We would like to state that the presentations are mandatory for all delegates. We wish you all a fruitful and fulfilling BIMUN conference with lots of new experiences and memories. Last note, please do not take your placards home and leave them on your seats. The house now is dismissed. Clapping is in order.